Hello and welcome to my F1 25 driver career mode, here today for part 31 for the Bahrain Grand Prix and the third round of the 2027 Formula 1 season. So we come into qualifying now, into the final corner here at Bahrain. We have a big snap of oversteer there as we come up to the line now. That first lap is going to put us into P8. We win again on the same set of tyres, as now we come into the final corner once again. We have found though half a second on this lap.
Okay, we've only got one
and
lap
now we come up to
remaining.
the line now, we cross it and we drop to P9, and that lap's going to keep us in P9, but we have improved, and in our final run at the end of qualifying we've had an absolute shocker of a lap. We haven't improved, we're a second down and we're going to start the race P14. So this is a grid then ahead of the Bahrain Grand Prix. So it's Lando Norris on pole, back-to-back poles for him alongside our teammate Charles Leclerc, who's won here in the past. Then it's Piers and Sonny Hayes, Verstappen and Kimi Antonelli, Tsunoda and Pierre Gasly, Hakkinen and Colapinto round out the top 10. Then it's George and Bortoletto. We find ourselves alongside Jack Doohan. Then it's Albon and Piastri, Behrman and Hulkenberg, Villeneuve and Carlos Sainz, and on the final row of the grid is Esteban Ocon and Liam Lawson in the Red Bull. So the cars make their way onto the grid then ahead of the Grand Prix. It's looking like a fairly nailed two-stopper today. The one-stopper looks a bit ambitious. We are going to be starting on the mediums, then going to another set of mediums to put on the soft tyres at the end and hopefully be very quick. It's going to have to be aggressive for us though. From P14 on the grid, the 5 lights are on, they're out, and we're racing under the lights of Bahrain, and we've got a fairly okay start as now we head towards turn 1. We've already got the Sauber there of Hulkenberg. We're going to be late on the brakes, but the Sauber's coming back down the inside of us and he's beached it on the curb, and now everyone has kind of stopped behind us as we've gained a couple of places there at the start. And now we move into the tricky turn 10 down the inside of the RB there of Hakkinen, our replacement at RB. Up the road next is George Russell in the Mercedes. Had a good start up into P11, so we've found 3 places on this opening tour of the Sakir circuit. And now they're 3 wide just at the road in front of us as they're all side by side. We go into turn 1, that is Verstappen going at it, they're 3 wide, George round the outside, they've all ghosted through each other. We've got a great run here, we're past the Red Bull, we're past the Aston Martin, now we're trying to get down the inside of the Mercedes of George Russell. We're all over the curb, and now we have a big oversteer moment, but we get the job done. We stay ahead of Colapinto in the Aston Martin, but we haven't found a way past George, who we're going to have to look up the inside. This is though Tsunoda battling with Colapinto, and he gets Colapinto around the outside there of turn 9. And now we go into turn 10 like we did on the opening lap, down the inside of George in the Mercedes. We take that place from him now, and we have gained big places on this second lap of the race, but George isn't having any of it. George is trying to get back round the outside of us. He backed out of it though at the final corner. Now we're having to harvest some ERS, and George is going to fly past us like we're not even there, but we're going to take back into his slipstream here as now we head down towards turn 1. We're going to try and go late on the brakes, back down the inside of George. He's going to try and cut us back though, but he couldn't get the traction on the exit out of the corner. Up the road next to us is the other Aston Martin of Max Verstappen, who won last time out at Suzuka. And now Tsunoda is trying to get around the outside of George at turn 4. Can he get the job done? They're going to be side by side as they go through the S's and plunge down the hill. It looks like Tsunoda has just got his nose ahead, and I think he is. Now back round the outside. Can George hold him off? Up to the inside, they're side by side. He's going to go back to the inside though for Yuki Tsunoda, going into that tricky turn 10, but can he hold him off around the outside? George, this is a great battle. They're both still side by side, but in the end Tsunoda is going to have to give up as we're all over the back of Max Verstappen. Down the inside we get the Aston Martin there. We move up into now P7 in this race after starting P14. 7 cars in just 3 laps is decent going, but Max has managed to stick with us, and he's going to have us back here surely, as Tsunoda has found a way past George, and now Max gets us like we're not even there with the DRS, but we're going to do what we did to George, going late on the brakes, back down the inside of the Dutchman and get that place back again. We take a big bit of curb there, but it doesn't matter, as now we try to catch Antonelli, but Max is sticking with us, and George and Tsunoda is still in the battle as well. Here we're going to have to go for a lunge on Antonelli up the inside of the Mercedes. We take that place, we catch him napping there, and up the road next is Pierre Gasly, who's having a great race for Alpine in the worst car in the grid in P5. We pulled away though from those behind. Everyone around is on the soft, so they do have an advantage, but they are starting to go off now. They're soft tyres. It took a good couple of laps, but we finally caught Gasly. That gap was staying around 2 seconds until his soft tyres started to go off here on lap 9, as we have a big moment there. And now we come into the final corner at the end of lap 9, and Gasly now is going to peel off into the pits, and he's going to allow us to go a little bit longer, but only 1 lap longer in this race, as we come into the pits now from the lead of it. Leclerc is in the net lead. Antonelli has stayed out behind us. Those rears were starting to go off a little bit, especially the rear left, you can see there, but we're going to take 1 set of mediums off, on go another set, and now let's see what we can do in the second stint. Where did we come out relative to Gasly and those we were racing behind, as we come down the pit lane now? Where is Gasly going to be? Looking to the left, Gasly's gone through. Gasly's still in front of us, so the overcut didn't work, but now we have the tyre delta the other way. Gasly's gone soft to hard. We've now got the tyre advantage and 1 lap fresher tyres. We've been caught though by George behind, who's gone to the softs after starting on the mediums, and now we're going to get Gasly up the inside. There's contact there as Gasly really tried to squeeze us, but we've got the job done there on the Alpine, and now hopefully we can pull away from him, but he's going to try and get us back. Here is Gasly, but he comes under pressure from George Russell. We're on his soft tyres around the outside of the Alpine. Now it's a drag race down towards turn 1, and we're going to be 3 wide, are we now? Yes we are. We're going to be double teams heading down towards turn 1, but we're going to be extremely late on the brakes, going back down the inside, retake the place from both of them, and now Gasly is still left defending George Russell in the Mercedes. We've pulled a gap, and I think George has just got ahead, and he is ahead. George takes that place from Gasly, and now we find ourselves in P5. George is P6, but really now we need to think about the longer game. George quicker than us quite clearly there, and overtakes us as both of us have pulled miles away from Gasly. Now 2 seconds up the road from him, but George has got us there as we struggled for some grip through the first couple of corners. And now the plan was, look at the gap to Lando. That was the gap we were focusing on, and it was staying around 6 seconds, and that was the gap we needed to keep down. George was always going to pull away on his soft tyres, and he was on fresher soft tyres as well, so we need to keep the gap to George, of course, but the big gap was to Lando. And at the end of lap 21 we've kept going and going and going, and we are going to pit to make our final stop of the day onto the soft tyres. We've had to go longer because otherwise the soft aren't going to last. But now, where will we come out here? We are going to be extremely quick on these tyres. Hopefully it's a good stop, 2.4 seconds. As Leclerc leads the race, as George is ahead of us on the hards, miles up the road from us, not too far though, as we come out of the pits now in P6. So we've lost out to Lando, who now is only 2 seconds up the road from us. It was 6 as we kept going, because they're stuck in this train behind then Sonny Hayes, as this is Lando now going for a move on George. He thinks about the outside, goes down the inside of George. George tries to hold it round the outside. This is allowing us to close in. George though keeps Lando behind. Lando's going to have another stab at it though, but he's too far back, and by one sector later we've caught the back of these battling for the podium. And now can we pick them off one by one? We're on the back of the McLaren of Lando Norris. We're having a look to the inside. We're going to be late on the brakes up the inside of the McLaren and take the McLaren for that place, and we're up now into P5, back where we were before we pitted. And now on the back of George, a move that we've been waiting for after he got us earlier on in the race. Up the inside we go on George. He's on the hard tyres. The tyre advantage now, we need to make it pay while it lasts, because they are going to go off eventually, these soft tyres. That's 2 cars in 1 lap. Up the road next though is Sonny Hayes in the apex, and we're going to go for an absolute lunge of the century, lick the stamp and send it, and we're past the apex there and onto the podium. And now we were rapidly catching the other apex of Pierce for P2 as we look to make it a Ferrari 1-2, and by lap 28, just 2 laps to go, we've caught the back of the other apex. And now we're going to pull to the inside, the outside. We're deciding where we're going to go. We're going to swap in the dummy though and go right round the outside and into P2 of the Bahrain Grand Prix. We started P14. It's been a great play with the strategy. These soft tyres have worked to perfection. Charles Leclerc though is going to win this Bahrain Grand Prix, and we are going to come home from P14 to P2. It's a Ferrari 1-2. It's a great result for us.
Well done. The man from Monaco will win again. Charles Leclerc takes the checkered flag.
To overcome the difficult circumstances they face throughout this race today, it's not easy, and it really shows a lot of maturity, and you can use this, you can draw on this as a driver moving forward and boost your confidence through the rest of the championship.
Plenty to get stuck into afterwards, but now the podium for our top 3 drivers. Back on top once again, please welcome our winner, Charles Leclerc.
So that has been then your Bahrain Grand Prix, won by our teammate Charles Leclerc. Absolutely dominated that race. No one could touch him. He wins it by 26 seconds over us in P2. A great strategy call. Medium, soft were the way to go. The softs were so overpowered compared to those on the mediums and the hard. Piers gets on the podium. That's his best result since becoming world champion last season. Good P3 for him. And then George was P4 and Lando Norris P5. So 2 retirements then today. Carlos Sainz finishing 3 laps down behind the retired Colapinto, both of them having issues today. Esteban Ocon in the Haas, who was last on the road today. We retake the lead of the championship after losing it last time out at Suzuka. We're just 5 points now ahead of Leclerc, who moves all the way up into P2. Yuki Tsunoda came into this race leading the championship. He is down to P3, but just 10 points off of us. Lando Norris is P4, and Max Verstappen rounds out the top 5. And then down at the back, there's still many drivers still yet to score after the opening 3 races, but it is Jack Doohan who is bottom of the table. In terms of the constructors then, and we are top of the constructors, 31 points is our gap now to McLaren in P2. Red Bull are P3, Aston Martin P4 and Apex, the reigning world champions, are P5. And then there's still 2 teams yet to score, that being our old team RB and Sauber. So that's been then your Bahrain Grand Prix. A very good race indeed, lots of action under the lights at Sakir. Next day we head to the streets of Jeddah, where we go racing around the quickest street track on the calendar. I'll see you then. Goodbye.